escalation on the northern border, while Gaza is making military exercises, and BenGvir is keeping the Temple Mount and the Third Temple still in the eyes of the Israeli public. We'll talk about all this and much more.
TGR News, broadcasting from the State of Israel.
Welcome back to TGR News.
Hello.
Well, this week we'll talk about the IDF soldiers injured in the recent mission in Terrorism and Iran's new campaign to stop Israel and Saudi Arabia making a new normalization deal. Also, Israel made a long-range airstrike all the way to the border of Iraq. We'll talk about all this and much more, but first, let's say thank you. Thank you so much. You guys blessing the nation of Israel, the children of Israel here are so blessed by the wonderful gifts of food that they so desperately need, and even your donations is helping, giving them the biggest blessing of all is the witness of us being able to do this work, that you make it possible. So that's the biggest gift they get. And it is just such a wonderful and special thing to be a part of. It's amazing how when you follow the Lord's instructions and you do what you're told, you see how great His plan really is and how things fall together. Just today, I saw how I didn't even expect it. We were touching the lives of a family of someone where we buy the food from. She told me today a story about how she's so blessed by what we do and how we help everyone. She talks to her family about us almost every week. So it's an amazing thing we're doing here together, and it's all because of you guys, and that's why I always say thank you. Also, another way you can help us is like, subscribe, and share these videos. And if you haven't yet and you want to be a part of this ministry, to blessing the children of the nation of Israel, all you have to do is go below all of these videos. You have links to the Patreon page and to the Support Us page. Plus, you can just go to the goldenreport.com and go to the Support Us page there and find whichever way is best for you. Well, let's get started.
Yeah, let's do it. The head journalist for the Hezbollah in Lebanon has been provoking the IDF for weeks now. He comes right up to the border where the UN soldiers with the IDF and tries to get in the way of the IDF officers attempting to do their job. The IDF is coming lately with highly accurate GPS equipment, trying to further draw the borderline to make it very clear for both sides where the border is and what line cannot be crossed.
Yes.
And this journalist He's just provoking them.
He's really provoking
them.
And it's not like we don't know where the border is. Of course we know where the border is. But because of the recent events and how Hezbollah is trying to, provoke here and there, we're just making it very clear so that when we do whatever it is we do to finally put a stop to all this childish nonsense, basically, then we could say we made it very clear, right?
Yeah. Another damage that the last government did.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We weren't having problems with Hezbollah and from Lebanon in the north for the longest time until all of a sudden, Naftali Bennett, that's what you're talking about, gave back down to the threats from Hezbollah to give them half of the gas fields out in the Mediterranean that we've been drilling and doing off the coast of Haifa. Yeah. So very, very good point. The Israeli Arab criminal element seems to be breaking new records almost every day now. This week in Israel, 7 died in a day and a half of criminal activity. This has come out of the nowhere. It's like it just all of a sudden hit us. Long ago, when you would never hear about anything like this. For right now, it's only the criminals killing criminals, but it won't stay that way for long if the police don't get a handle on it soon. Right now, the Arab criminal element, it's 196 deaths this year, is the accurate number up till now. Yeah. It's every day now. And it's a very small community, the Israeli Arabs, in the grand
Yeah.
scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
It's like a average to it's a small city population wise, right? In
Yeah.
America, and that's a lot of deaths. You never heard of stuff like that in Israel before.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really is bad.
It's getting worse. And
It's
worse.
something that we definitely need to get a handle on. And BenGvir's been doing that by supporting the police, because up until now the police has been stripped of all authority,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So it's well, after months of Israeli fighter pilots protesting and not showing up for military duty, as we've talked about on this channel here a few times, the Israeli Air Force generals finally are putting an end to it. It's about time, huh? Now there is a deadline. On October 17th, any pilot who does not show up for duty will be discharged. The reason for this particular date in the IDF, they didn't just pull it out from nowhere, is that we're having a large training exercise with the U.S. and other countries, air forces all together. So the IDF needs to know who's with us and who's not.
Yeah.
Basically.
And in my opinion, they
should've done
shouldn't
it.
even give them even this chance.
Yeah, I agree.
They should fire them right away when they didn't show
agree.
up in the first place.
We got to remember now, it's not like a crippling amount of pilots in the IDF. As you hear, we're still doing airstrikes. The Air Force is still going, it's still working just fine. It's a specific group of reservists, of actually volunteer reservists who can say I don't want to show up. Yeah. Like anyone who is active duty doesn't have the right to say I don't show up. It wasn't those pilots. Yeah. It was the volunteer reservist pilots, right?
Yeah.
So the Army's saying, okay, that's enough of these fun and games. Either you're going to be with us or you're not with us, right?
Yeah, by the way, all of those who show up on the news, show their faces, they're all off duty long time ago.
Yes.
None of them are reservists, active reservists, how you say, right?
Yeah.
They're all off duty for a long time, so they just brave enough to show their faces, right?
Yeah.
They have nothing to lose.
Right, and also, if there was a pilot, an actual pilot who does missions for Israel, Israel would not let his face be shown on the TV. And they did that to one pilot. The main pilot that was starting up all of this nonsense very long ago, 8 months ago, that's how they took care of him. They just showed his face on a news broadcast, and the government put his face out there, and he realized at that moment it was over, because once he's known, his face is shown and he's recognized, he can no longer do it. The IDF will never take it back, right?
Yeah.
So that was the way they took care of him. On Tuesday, the IDF most likely made another airstrike on the Syrian and Iraq border, hundreds of miles away from Israel. I say most likely because Israel, of course, is not taking responsibility for this. But this is the exact same place as last time Israel took out the 6th truck, number 6, in a 13-truck convoy, if you remember, with accurately hitting the truck, with the only truck in the whole convoy with the weapons. And it's very far away from Israel. The name of the border crossing is Abu Kamal, one of those easy names to remember, right? Yeah. Between Iraq and Syria is where Iran usually passes their weapons shipments through. You could only imagine what all has to be in place for our Air Force to do such a mission. We usually fly on this type of a mission over Jordan airspace in order to come from the south, where Syria has less radars to search for the skies. This was a big operation. Anytime we do anything like this, it is a big deal. Yeah. We're just talking about the pilots, right? It took a lot of pilots, including reservists, to do that job, because they have to. Israel doesn't do something like that without like the search and rescue, like the SAS sort of the Israeli SAS, which is called 669, by the way, and to go behind and ready with them just in case they need to rescue them, right, and pull them out. They go with them on the mission. That's the way Israel does it, because they right away get them out, right? Yeah. So it's a huge operation. Yeah. It's a lot of aircraft, right? It's a big deal.
Yeah, big plane. Yeah. Iran has opened a large campaign trying to reach out to both Sunnis and Shiites to speak out against Saudi Arabia and the normalization with Israel. This campaign is made to try and use scare tactics on Saudi to stop them from continuing talks with Israel. Saudi Arabia is a country that Iranians are free to visit, and if Israelis will be as well, I believe that Iran is extra worried about how this will allow the Mossad to have a lot more contact with their people.
That is so true.
That's what you said in the beginning when we started all this
Yeah.
normalization thing.
That's so true, and that is such a huge advantage. That's the only reason why I say this is a good deal for Israel. We're not going to have Saudians coming visiting tourism in Israel. You don't have to worry about that. That's not going to happen. But we'll be able to go there. That's just how like it worked out with Bahrain and the UAE.
Yeah.
We had like 200,000 people, I think, just last month going vacation. Israelis going vacation UAE,
Yeah.
and we had what 25 from the UAE come here. We don't let them in, right? So you don't worry about that.
They're not
We don't need to worry about that. The only thing bad about this deal is the nuclear talks about Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia. That's bad. But the rest of it is good. And what you said is so true. Anytime you can give the Mossad a new playground to play in, to be free to walk around in, you're doing a good thing for the security of the nation of Israel. And so also, we look at these all these new peace agreements with all these Arab nations in the Middle East. It reminds me of something. It could be called the great false peace that we know is supposed to be coming. But we'll just have to wait and see how that pans out. To see, try that fish out and see if it's true or not. But but for right now, I say it's good. It's good for Israel to have another playing ground for the Mossad to play in with, where Iranians also can come.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like Saudi is very up to demand big announcement for Palestinians.
Yeah, that was just something they'll check on the
check.
Exactly. Yeah, they said something about we said the word Palestinians. Yeah, we said it. Check.
Yeah.
Next. That was exactly what that was on. Well, on Tuesday morning, while the tension between Israel and Gaza is high, the Islamic Jihad in Gaza decided to make a military training exercise to practice breaking into IDF bases, this is how they said, and killing the IDF soldiers. During the exercise, they fired 4 rockets into the sea away from Israel. This is just their attempt to try and cause some sort of reaction from us, but it is just another sign of the tension between Israel and all her enemies. Everything, it's the way it is in the Middle East. Everything boils up. I've said it before. And it seems like it's going to blow, and sometimes it blows, and sometimes you have all-out war, and then sometimes it just fizzles back down, and you're like, oh, well,
yeah. But it's important to understand what is going on. Imagine in the USA, on American soil, you have a terror organization that is showing off, that's what they do, their power, and none of them been killed. Just showing off their power, we're strong. And that's all. And we just sitting like this and
watching them do military.
Doing nothing. Yeah. Even though we went out of Gaza, right? We have no military there. We have no one single Jew lives there. But it's not Gazan people, right? It's not just regular Arabs. It's a terror organization.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm amazed how they just walk in there.
So many things that we talk about in the news, like what you're talking about right now. It's easy. The only way to explain it is to say only in Israel would something like that happen. And the reason is because the whole world is so against us and anti-Semitic and anti-Israel that we have to walk a line that no one else in the world has to walk, and allow such ridiculous, outrageous things happen against us. And only when it gets to a certain point are we allowed to actually, protect ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's only in Israel, and it's prophetic, and it's in the Bible. It's we know what the outcome's going to be. Pretty soon, it'll be all nations against Israel, right? Well, the head of the Shabak, Ronen Bar, called Minister of Interior Security Itamar BenGvir, our guy trying to get the third temple rebuilt, and told him not to go to the Temple Mount BenGvir is the minister, like I was just saying, that single-handedly put the subject of the Jews going back to praying on the Temple Mount in our everyday conversation. Before BenGvir, Israelis thought that the time when we would actually build our third temple is generations away. So far away, no one would even talk about it. But now BenGvir has changed that. This is because now anytime he goes to the Temple Mount, it escalates the violent outbreaks from the Arabs.
Yeah.
So that's why they told him, not to go. And he didn't go yet.
He didn't go yet.
Yet.
But it's here another thing really ridiculous only in Israel. We have Temple Mount, the holiest place for Jewish people, where the temple
In the
stood,
world.
where Arabs they built their Al-Aqsa close to the ruins of our temple, right? They built all the Dome of the Rock and all this compound, right?
Yes.
And it belongs to them because Waqf is in charge. They decided the hours for us to pray for non-Jews, for non-Muslim Christians and
Everyone,
Jews.
all
non-Muslims.
non-Muslims.
They act ugly. They can decide you're not going to
Well,
go
we did a video. We got kicked out.
And still, every time the Jews come to the Temple Mount, it's like if you see their media, social media of the Arabs, it's like we're storming them, we're destroying Al-Aqsa, we're gonna get over.
And
we're
this is
doing
their
our
propaganda to try to cause
Yeah.
other Arab countries to
We're doing
attack
our-
Israel
Yeah,
by
we're doing
making
our
those lies.
We're doing our Talmudic rituals, dancing and singing, and it's so dangerous for we just. But anyway, think about it. In Israel, we have our holy place. We're going to there. We're not allowed to pray there. Just go into. And the country, one of our leaders, or security, say to this guy, you cannot go there because, the Palestinians, the Arabs, the terrorists will be angry. They get mad. Don't do that, please.
Absolutely.
We have to be careful not to get them mad.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but once again, what we just said, only in Israel.
Yeah.
Only in Israel, in our own land, are we not allowed to walk around. Our enemy controls when we can walk in our own land in some places.
Exactly.
Yeah. On Wednesday night, the IDF went into Tulkarem. On Tuesday, the Arabs in the Tulkarem is a city
in the middle of the
country. Yeah, in the middle of the country, close to the center of the country, actually. But on Tuesday, they the Arabs made a video and showed their forces and showed how strong they were. And then on Wednesday night, the IDF went into Tulkarem to arrest terrorists with plans for more terrorist activity. During the mission, 5 IDF soldiers were injured. 3 of them seriously injured, and 2 more were injured, but not life-threatening. They were still able to carry out their mission while the same unit self-rescued their own, and within moments after this mission was over, they received the info that another terrorist opened fire in Hawara again. If you remember, Hawara is a place where it seems to be a real hotbed lately for terrorist activity. So just to remember, Wednesday night they went in, and then it was basically Thursday morning, to be more accurately, but only moments, the same hours of the night, right? Another terrorist attack happened, and a terrorist opened fire. And this same unit that they were the closest ones, even though they had the injured there. They went and arrived on site and found the terrorists responsible. Thank God no one was hurt in that terrorist attack.
Yeah.
But it was, so you could see this terrorist just walking down the middle of the street with a gun, shooting at this poor family with a 1.5-year-old in the back seat and a pregnant woman in the car, and it's just so evil, the things they do.
It is.
But the IDF soldiers were, even though they were injured and part of the unit was down, they still did their job, and hopefully those IDF soldiers will be healed.
IDF was busy because they also secured the Jewish worshippers that went to the Joseph tomb. It was Wednesday night too. So Arabs
in
Nablus.
And Arabs were acting up bad there.
they're attacking. They're not just throwing rocks anymore. They do explosives, they throw Molotov cocktails. Poor IDF soldiers. It's so, now it's so dangerous. And I think, in my opinion, well, I'm not very, IDF leader or something, but we have to have some kind of equipment from the air to help our IDF soldiers. They're not supposed to be just left alone like that, getting all this fire on them. We have to,
Air support.
backup. Yeah.
Air support.
Air support. And you just spread them right away. The Arabs, they just run away if they see that it's a big force coming and they cannot do. If you see the videos, they feel very free to run around and throw Molotov cocktails on the soldiers.
Yeah, you can tell the IDF soldiers in the clips you see are not in home court. They're the Arabs throwing Molotov cocktails and everything at them. They're in home court. Right. And this is, we're talking about in the land of Israel, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that way.
The IDF soldiers' hands are tied.
Yes.
That was a rough week with Arab terrorists attacking Jewish families on the roads of Israel, stoning, shooting, throwing Molotov cocktails, and trying to do their best to kill us. Just on Thursday, in one day, was 9 terror attacks on the roads of Israel. IDF was busy arresting terrorists in Arab villages, Gaza, Nablus, and Tulkarem. Let's pray that next week will be quieter and safer for the nation of Israel.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a rough week, but hopefully next week will be better.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to say?
That's all.
Okay. Well, don't forget to join us on thegoldenreport.com. And until next week.
Shabbat Shalom.
God bless.